Every morning as you unlock your front door, what greets you first? The warmth of sunlight or the heavy shadow of a tree's overgrown branches? Pause for a moment. Picture your doorway right now. Is it bathed in soft morning light, or has that light been silenced, trapped behind a curtain of leaves? Many of us plant trees at our doorstep with love and good intentions. We believe their shade protects our home, shields us from harsh heat, and brings a sense of peace. But have we ever truly considered, could this shade be quietly closing the door to prosperity? Could that comforting canopy be the very thing that blocks not just the sun, but also the flow of fortune, health, and harmony into our lives? In Feng Shui, the front door is not just an entryway for people. It is the mouth of Kai, the main portal through which positive energy enters your home. The morning sun, with its pure yang energy, is like a messenger of luck, carrying vitality, clarity, and wealth into your space. When that light is blocked, when shadows cling to your threshold day after day, your home begins to breathe in stale air. The energy stagnates, and silently, almost invisibly, small misfortunes gather. Money flows out faster than it flows in. Relationships within the home feel strained. The household spirit grows weary. Look again at your front door. Have you unknowingly created a barrier between your family and the fortune that is meant for you? That large tree, whose roots and branches you once saw as guardians, may now be acting as gatekeepers, not letting prosperity cross the threshold. Today, we will gently uncover this hidden mistake. We will explore how blocked sunlight at your front door affects your home's energy, and more importantly, how simple, mindful actions can reopen the path of light, inviting abundance and happiness back into your life. The change begins with a single glance at your door. Is the light free to enter, or has it been trapped for far too long? Section 1, the shadow trap. When trees silence the sun at your door. Stand before your home for a moment. Look at your front door. What do you see? Does the soft golden light of the morning sun touch your doorstep, or is it halted, caught in a tangle of branches and thick leaves, never quite reaching the threshold? Many of us plant trees near our front doors out of love, habit, or tradition. We choose them for their beauty, their shade, their promise of protection. We believe the large canopy offers shelter, a shield from the harsh rays of the sun, a comfort for the home. But what we often fail to see is this: that very shade we cherish may be silently working against us, becoming a barrier that traps opportunity outside and keeps our home in quiet darkness. In Feng Shui, the front door is called the mouth of Kai. It is the main gateway through which life force, energy, and prosperity enter our living space. The morning sun, pure and fresh, carries with it the yang energy that nourishes, uplifts, and activates the blessings waiting to enter your home. It is no ordinary light. It is the breath of vitality that stirs the stillness of night and opens the path for fortune to flow in. When that sunlight is blocked, when thick branches create a heavy curtain over your entrance, the energy of the house begins to shift. The yang energy, the energy of growth, movement, and wealth, cannot enter fully. Instead, your home begins to inhale only shadows. The space that should be bright and vibrant at dawn remains dim, and slowly the energy inside grows heavy. Perhaps you felt this without knowing why. Have you noticed mornings where you step out and feel strangely burdened? Days that begin with a sense of dullness or unease, though everything seems normal. That is the silent hand of blocked light, the shadow trap at work. Think about this. Light is not just brightness, it is energy in motion. When your front door receives sunlight, the house awakens. The beams carry invisible blessings. They warm the walls, lift the spirit, and signal to prosperity that your home is ready to receive. But when a tree's branches stop that light, the invitation to fortune is never delivered. The house stays asleep, and with it, so does your luck. The shadow trap is dangerous because it creeps in unnoticed. You may admire the way your tree shades the entrance, may even feel pride at its strength and beauty. But over time, small troubles begin to gather. Money seems harder to hold on to. Opportunities slip through your fingers. The family's energy feels off balance. People tire more easily, tempers fray over little things. And still, you do not see the cause, because how could a beloved tree be the reason? But look again. Notice how the morning light tries to reach your door and fails. Notice how the space beneath the tree stays cool, but also strangely lifeless. Notice how plants at the base of that tree struggle, how the soil there remains damp and heavy, not fresh and airy. Your tree is not the enemy, but its unchecked growth has become a silent barrier, a wall of shadow that fortune hesitates to cross. This is not about cutting down what you have planted. It is about seeing with new eyes. It is about understanding that too much of a good thing, too much shade, too much protection can become a prison. The front door of your home must welcome the sun. It must be a space where the first light of day can land, can breathe life into the house, can signal to the universe that this family is open to receive. Let yourself feel this truth. Tomorrow morning, stand at your door at sunrise. Watch how the light moves. Does it fall freely upon your entrance, or does it flicker weakly against the barrier of branches? Breathe in the dawn air and ask yourself, is my home waking with the sun, or is it trapped beneath this shadow? The shift begins with awareness. You do not have to act in haste, but you must see clearly. The branches that once sheltered you may now need to be trimmed, shaped, guided, so that they no longer block the blessings that seek to find you. And remember this, sunlight at the door is more than just light. It is hope, fortune, energy. When you free the light, you free the path for prosperity to step inside. When the sun can reach your threshold, it can reach your heart, your work, your family's future. So today, ask yourself, has my front door become a trap for shadows? And am I ready to open it again, to let the light lead the way? Section 2, The Silent Loss. How blocked sunlight weakens wealth and health. It begins quietly. You may not even notice it at first. A small struggle to keep up with bills. A feeling that money slips through your fingers faster than it used to. A family member who once woke up full of energy now seems tired even before the day begins. These are not loud misfortunes. They are the silent losses that creep in when the sunlight, the pure yang energy that feeds your home, is blocked at your front door. In Feng Shui, light is not just brightness, it is nourishment. The morning sun carries the first fresh wave of Kai, the life force that stirs prosperity, health, and harmony into motion. When this light reaches your home's threshold, it blesses the space. It announces to the world that your home is awake, alive, ready to welcome fortune. But when a tree's thick branches and leaves block that light, something subtle but powerful begins to change. The house is left in shadow. The vital yang energy cannot enter fully, and in that shadow, small misfortunes begin to take root. Wealth is the first to feel the loss. You might notice that despite working hard, you never seem to get ahead. Money comes in, but it flows out just as quickly, sometimes faster. Unexpected expenses arise, repairs, fees, medical costs, and they feel relentless. Deals that once seemed easy now face strange delays or fall through altogether. The home, starved of yang energy, no longer draws prosperity in. It struggles to hold on to what little comes its way. But it is not only wealth that suffers. The health of those living in the house begins to weaken too. When sunlight does not enter the front door, the space inside the home remains cool, but not in a refreshing way. It is a coolness that invites dampness, heaviness, stagnation. Over time, this can affect the body as well as the mind. Perhaps you've noticed family members catching colds more often, or lingering coughs that never quite go away. Maybe sleep feels less restful. The morning, instead of bringing a sense of renewal, feels like a continuation of yesterday's fatigue. The mind grows foggy, tempers shorten. The warmth that once filled the household seems harder to find. Let me share a true story. A family lived for many years with a great pride in the tree that shaded their front yard. It had been planted by the grandfather, a symbol of strength and continuity. But as the tree grew, so did their struggles. The father's business faced repeated setbacks. The children's studies faltered. The mother fell ill often. They never linked these troubles to the tree. How could they? The tree was a beloved part of the home. It was only when an elder visiting from their hometown remarked that the house felt too dark, too heavy at the entrance, that they looked again. They saw, perhaps for the first time, how no morning light touched their doorstep. The tree's branches had grown thick, blocking the sun entirely. With gentle guidance, they trimmed the tree. They opened just enough space for the morning light to spill onto their threshold. The change was not magic, nor was it instant. But slowly they felt the shift. The house felt warmer. The business began to recover. The children's focus returned. The mother's health improved. The sunlight, allowed in again, carried with it the blessings they had been missing. The loss that comes from blocked sunlight is so silent because it feels ordinary. We explain it away. The economy is difficult. Everyone gets tired sometimes. Life is full of ups and downs. These things are true. But when your front door traps shadow and rejects light, you invite struggle where ease could have been. You invite obstacles where a clear path was waiting. Look now at your own door. In the early morning, does the sun reach your threshold? Or has your well-meaning tree become a barrier? Does your home each day begin with light or with gloom? Remember, this is not about blaming the tree. It is about recognizing balance. Too much shade, too much protection becomes a cage. Your front door should be a place where light lands first, where the breath of morning fills the space, where fortune and health know they are welcome. When you open that path again, when you let sunlight cross your doorstep, you invite wealth to linger. You nourish the health of everyone inside. You create a home that wakes joyfully with the day, not one that struggles in silence. So ask yourself, has my home been living in the silent loss of blocked light? Am I ready to lift the shadows and let fortune shine in again? Section 3, The Ancestors' Lesson. Why big trees never stood at the front door. Pause and think of the homes of your ancestors. The simple wooden houses of old villages. The tiled roofs that have stood through sun and storm. The courtyards that welcomed generations. What do you remember about those homes? Look closer. You will see that at the front door there were no large trees casting heavy shadows. Instead, you would find slender beetle palms, tall and straight, or perhaps a bamboo cluster leaning gracefully to the side, never blocking the entrance. This was no accident. Our ancestors understood what many of us today have forgotten, that the front door must be kept open to light, to breeze, to fortune itself. They knew that large trees with wide canopies and deep roots belonged at the back or sides of the house, where they could offer shelter without standing in the way of prosperity's path. In traditional Vietnamese homes, and in many cultures guided by nature's rhythms, the front entrance was sacred. It was called C letter 1AAD, Adon L letter 1ED9C, the door that welcomes blessings. This was the mouth of Kai, where the first breath of life force entered each day. The morning sun, pure and golden, was seen as a messenger of fortune. Its light was meant to flow freely to the threshold. signaling to the universe that this home was open, awake, and ready to receive abundance. The beetle palm, often chosen for the front yard, reflected these values. Its trunk rose tall and slim, its canopy small and high, allowing sunlight to pour down unhindered. The beetle palm brought elegance without obstruction, a gentle invitation rather than a wall. Even the way it swayed in the breeze spoke of flexibility, a reminder that the home must bend and flow with fortune, not resist it. Contrast this with what we sometimes see today: wide, sprawling trees planted close to the front door. Their heavy branches spread across the entrance, their roots gripping the earth like a warning, their shade thick enough to keep the sun at bay. We plant these trees out of love, for their beauty or their promise of coolness. But we do not always see how they interrupt the delicate conversation between our home and the energy that surrounds it. A house whose entrance is hidden in shadow cannot speak clearly to fortune. The blessings that ride on the morning breeze hesitate at the door, unsure if they are welcome. The light that carries health and harmony cannot find a clear path inside. The house begins to feel isolated, cut off not only from the sun but from the flow of life itself. Our ancestors watched nature carefully. They saw that too much shade at the entrance brought dampness, sickness, and heaviness. They saw that a house that received the morning sun thrived, its people healthier, its fortunes steadier. So they planted wisely, balancing protection with openness, shade with light. There is a quiet wisdom in this that we can still follow today. If you stand at your front door at dawn and see no sunlight touch your threshold, it is not too late to act. You can honor the tree that stands there, thank it for its years of service, and gently shape it so that it no longer blocks the way. A thoughtful trimming, a mindful repositioning of pots or smaller plants can restore the balance that invites fortune home. Let me share with you an image from an old village. A small house sits quietly at the edge of a rice field. Two beetle palms stand like sentries on either side of the door, their trunks straight as prayers, their fronds high above, letting the sun pour down at dawn. The breeze moves easily through the open yard, carrying with it the scent of earth and new rice. The door is open and the light flows in as if invited. The house breathes in the day's first blessings. This is not just tradition. This is harmony with nature's flow. Today, many of us live in places where the old ways seem distant. We build for comfort, for convenience, for beauty. But the lesson of the ancestors still whispers to us. Do not block the light at your door. Do not let your desire for shade become a wall against your own good fortune. So look at your entrance. Is your door visible from the street, touched by the sun, open to the breeze? Or has it been hidden behind leaves and branches, lost in the very protection you hoped would help? The beetle palm teaches us this. True protection does not stand in the way. It stands beside us, offering shelter without blocking the light. When you make space for sunlight at your door, you honor both tradition and the deep wisdom of the land. You reconnect your home to the natural currents that have blessed homes for generations. And in doing so, you open the way for wealth, health, and happiness to find their rightful path to your family. So ask yourself gently, am I honoring the wisdom of those who came before me? Have I kept my doorway clear for the sun's first light? Or have I, without knowing, closed the door to fortune's call? Section 4, the healing action, how to open the light path. You have stood at your front door. You have seen the shadow. You have felt the heaviness that comes when light cannot enter. Now is the time to act gently, mindfully, and with purpose. Opening the light path is not just about trimming a tree. It is about restoring balance, inviting prosperity, and reawakening the natural flow of energy that your home is waiting to receive. The first step is awareness. Tomorrow at dawn, stand quietly at your front door. Do not rush. Watch where the light falls. Notice where it is stopped. Is the entrance bathed in golden warmth, or does the shadow of branches block its way? Let yourself feel the difference. The places touched by sunlight will feel alive, hopeful. The places held in shadow will feel cool, but perhaps also still, even stagnant. This is the silent language of energy. Once you see where the light is blocked, plan your healing action. You do not need to cut down the tree that stands at your door. That tree has sheltered you, given you comfort. Instead, think of shaping it, of guiding it to serve both your need for shade and your need for light. Begin with a mindful trimming. Choose a clear, cool morning. Before you lift your hand to the branches, pause. Place your palm gently against the trunk. In your heart, offer thanks. Say silently, "You have protected us. Now please help us welcome the light." Trim only what is needed. Let the sun's path find its way to your threshold. Imagine you are opening a window in a dark room, just enough to let the air flow, the light pour in. Each branch you guide aside is a doorway reopened to fortune. Each leaf that falls is a barrier gently removed. If your tree's branches are too large or too close, consider seeking help from someone skilled. A gardener who respects the harmony of nature, who understands that this is not just work, but a sacred act of renewal. Beyond trimming, look at the space around your entrance. Are there pots, fences, or objects that clutter the path? Clear them. Let the area breathe. A front door should feel like an open invitation, not an obstacle course. A clear space allows light to gather, energy to flow, opportunity to see its way home. Next, invite the light deliberately. Each morning, open your door with intention. Do not fling it wide in habit. Instead, open it slowly, as if greeting a dear friend. Feel the morning air on your skin. Let the sun's rays fall across the threshold. Breathe deeply. With each breath, imagine drawing the light into your home, into your life. You may also choose to place 2 small plants, such as young palms or lucky bamboo, at either side of your door. These should not block the way, but frame it, like gentle guides leading Kai inward. As you place them, speak softly. Guide the light, welcome fortune. Remember, this is not about grand gestures. It is the small, thoughtful acts that open the light path. A single branch trimmed, a pot moved aside, a door opened with care. These are the keys that unlock the flow of energy, that tell the universe your home is ready to receive. And as you do these things, pay attention to how the house changes. Notice how the air feels fresher, how mornings feel brighter, how your own spirit feels lifted. These are signs that the energy is moving again, that the light path has been cleared. The healing action is not complete in one day. It is a practice, a quiet tending of the space where home and world meet. It is the choice each morning to welcome light, to welcome life. So ask yourself, today, have I opened the way for the light to find my door? And in doing so, have I opened the way for fortune, health, and joy to step inside? Section 5, the root of the problem. Big roots, hidden danger. When we think of a tree at our front door, our eyes are often drawn upward, to the wide canopy, the sheltering branches, the shade it casts. But beneath our feet, hidden from daily sight, lies the part of the tree that may be causing the greatest harm: the roots. Strong, unseen, and quietly spreading, the roots of a large tree can create dangers that affect both the structure of your home and the flow of fortune into your life. In Feng Shui, what lies beneath is as important as what we see above. The roots of a tree represent the deep, anchoring forces of energy. When they grow too close to the front of your house, they can do more than disrupt the soil. They can disturb the foundation of harmony, creating subtle cracks not just in the earth, but in the stability of your wealth, your relationships, your peace of mind. Imagine this: a great tree's roots stretching under your doorstep, pressing against the foundation, drawing moisture from the soil, causing shifts too small to notice at first. Over time, these shifts may lead to uneven ground, cracks in the path, even damage to the house's structure. The house begins to feel unsettled, as if its base is no longer firm. But the danger is not only physical. In the language of energy, these roots act like channels, and when they sit too close to the front door, they can act as drains. Instead of allowing positive Kai to gather at your entrance, the roots quietly pull it away, dispersing it into the ground. The light that you worked so carefully to invite is now met with an energy sink beneath your feet. The house struggles to hold onto blessings because they are being drawn away before they can even enter. Perhaps you have felt this without knowing why. A sense that money slips through your fingers no matter how hard you work. That plans never quite take root. That good fortune seems always just beyond reach. The roots beneath your door may be playing their silent part in this pattern. This does not mean you must resent the tree. That tree may have shaded your childhood, marked milestones of your family's life. But it does mean you must see clearly and act wisely. Start with observation. Walk barefoot on the ground near your entrance if you can. Feel the soil. Is it firm or does it feel uneven, disturbed? Look for cracks in paths, lifting tiles, moisture that lingers too long. These are signs that the roots are encroaching too close. If you see these signs, it is time to consider your next steps. In some cases, thoughtful pruning of the roots, done by a skilled arborist, can restore balance without harming the tree. In other cases, especially where the roots threaten the safety of the home's structure, you may need to make the difficult decision to remove the tree entirely. This is not destruction. This is a release, freeing your home from an invisible grip that has held it back. And as you make this decision, do so with respect. Offer gratitude to the tree for all it has given. If possible, plant another tree, one with gentler roots, placed at a distance where it can bless, not burden. Small actions can also help redirect energy. Place 2 healthy pots of upward-growing plants on either side of your entrance. These will act as gentle guides, helping to lift Kai that might otherwise be drawn down by the roots. Keep the path to your door clear and open so that positive energy can find its way without obstruction. And most important, stay mindful of balance. A tree's strength is a gift when placed well, but a hidden danger when allowed too close. The same applies to all things in life. Too much protection can stifle, too much attachment can hold us back. The roots remind us that what we do not see can still shape our fortune. So today, ask yourself, what lies beneath my doorstep? Have I overlooked the hidden forces that may be pulling fortune away? And am I ready to clear the way for stability, light, and abundance to return? Section 6, the ritual of morning light. Breathe, open, welcome. When we have cleared the branches, guided the roots, and opened the path for sunlight to reach our front door, one final, powerful step remains: to consciously invite the light in. This is where energy transforms, where the house, the heart, and fortune align through a simple daily ritual. The ritual of morning light is not complex. It does not require expensive objects, long chants, or elaborate ceremonies. It asks only for presence, intention, and an open door. When done with mindfulness, this small practice becomes the bridge between your home and the blessings waiting to enter. Step 1. Breathe. Awaken the energy with it. At dawn, or as early as your morning allows, stand quietly at your front door. Before you touch the handle, pause. Feel the earth beneath your feet. Let your spine lengthen gently, as if reaching toward the rising sun. Close your eyes and take 3 slow, deep breaths. With each inhale, imagine drawing in the soft gold of morning light. Feel it filling your lungs, warming your heart, clearing the fog of sleep. With each exhale, release any heaviness, the worries of yesterday, the shadows that may have lingered at your door. As you breathe, picture the light gathering at the threshold, waiting like a friend at your gate. This is the breath that connects you to the living energy of the world outside. This is the first act of welcome. Step 2. Open, invite the new day. Now place your hand on the door handle. Do not rush. Turn it slowly with awareness. As you open the door, do so as if you are greeting a beloved guest, gentle, respectful, joyful. Feel the change in the air as the barrier between inside and outside dissolves. Let the breeze touch your skin. Let the sunlight fall across the threshold. Allow yourself a moment to truly feel this meeting, house and world, light and shelter, energy and form. If you have cleared the space before your door, you will notice how easily the light enters now. There is no longer any need for it to fight its way through branches or shadows. The path is open and the light flows in like water finding its course. Step 3. Welcome, speak your intention. Stand still as the morning sun reaches your face. Let its warmth soak into your skin, its brightness fill your eyes. This is the light that carries fortune, the light that stirs Kai into motion, the light that reminds your home it is part of the great living world. Now, in a soft voice or within your heart, speak your welcome. It may be as simple as, I open this door to light, to fortune, to peace. I welcome prosperity, health, and joy into this home. May this day be filled with blessings seen and unseen. Your words are not magic spells, they are keys. Keys that unlock the door not just for sunlight, but for the energy of opportunity, harmony, and growth. You may choose to accompany this with a small gesture, placing your hands together, bowing your head slightly, or simply smiling at the dawn. What matters is sincerity. The universe listens when the heart speaks true, the gift of this ritual. When practiced daily, this ritual does more than brighten your home. It brightens your mind. It anchors you in the present. It reminds you each morning that you have the power to choose openness over shadow, welcome over fear, light over heaviness. And with time, you may notice changes beyond your door. The household feels lighter. Small blessings appear where struggle once stood. A new clarity touches your work, your relationships, your health. These are the quiet gifts of opening to the light, a note of encouragement. You do not have to perform this ritual at the perfect hour or in perfect silence. Life is busy, homes are noisy, mornings are sometimes rushed. What matters is the intention. Even a brief moment, one slow breath, one conscious opening of the door plants the seed of change. And if a day passes where you forget, forgive yourself and begin again the next morning. The light is always there, waiting to be welcomed. So ask yourself gently, am I ready to meet the day with open arms? Have I cleared the way, not just for sunlight, but for all the blessings that wish to find me? And will I choose, today and every day, to breathe, to open, to welcome? Final. Now pause, close your eyes if only for a breath. Picture your home, not just the walls, the roof, the furniture, but its heart, its spirit, the space where your family's joys, hopes, and quiet worries live. Picture your front door, no longer hidden in shadow, no longer blocked by branches or burdened by roots. See it open, wide and welcoming, bathed in the soft gold of the morning sun. This is more than an image. This is the doorway you have chosen to clear. The path you have chosen to open, not only for sunlight, but for fortune, for health, for harmony. Each time you breathe with intention at your threshold, each time you guide the light into your home, you invite the world's blessings to cross that line between outside and in. Perhaps you will notice small changes at first. A freshness in the air, a sense of ease in your mornings, a quiet lifting of burdens you carried without realizing. Over time, these small changes gather strength. The home becomes lighter, warmer, more alive. And so do you. But the truest gift is this, the realization that light has always been waiting. That fortune, like the sun, never turned away. It was only searching for an open path, a door unlocked not just in wood or stone, but in the heart. So as you stand now at this moment's end, I invite you to ask yourself, softly, deeply, have I cleared the way for the light to enter not only my home, but my life? And am I ready with each new dawn to meet that light with an open heart and an open door? The choice is yours. The light awaits.